Hello there and a warm welcome along. Welcome to a slightly new format here on United Kingdom Talk. I'm afraid time has got the better of me. Time is so precious, don't you think? And I can no longer do 3 one-hour talk shows a week, so I've cut it down. And we did a little bit of a survey on Facebook. Now I've got the Facebook. If you want to join me on Facebook, my username on there is Chris Reardon UK. All right, Chris Reardon UK on Facebook, and also on Twitter as well. Well, I've never been keen on Twitter. I still can't see the point of it. People say, "Oh, it's wonderful." I've never seen the point of Twitter, but there you are. Twitter and Facebook. It's Chris CHRIS, Chris Reardon UK on there. We did a survey on there last week, and I was saying, what would be your favourite options? Would it be better, because I've got to cut down the amount of time I spend on the shows a week, would it be better to do 2 one-hour shows a week or 3 half-hour shows a week? And it was a majority decision. And it was about 15 people took the time and trouble to answer, and I thank you very much for that. And we all came to the conclusion that it's better to do 3 half-hour shows a week. So as from now, this programme will be only half an hour long. I mean, surely that's got to be better on your ears, isn't it? God knows how anyone was able to stick looking at my ugly face or listening to my rasping voice for an hour at a time. How on earth do you manage to do that? I'm sorry that it's happened so suddenly like that, because I know there was no mention of it in the show at all last week. But another paying job has come up, and I'm now hosting Belushi's karaoke, as well as in the Hammersmith branch on Monday nights. I'm now doing the branch at London Bridge on Wednesday nights. So I actually haven't done one yet. The first one is tomorrow night. Okay, which for me is a Wednesday. It might not be Wednesday for you tomorrow, but it's certainly Wednesday for me tomorrow. And the first one's tomorrow, so I've got my fingers crossed that everything will work okay. I always get very nervous about taking on new DJ or karaoke jobs, because you're never quite sure how they'll turn out. You know? It might fail dismally. I don't know. You just never know. So that's the reason that I'm going to have to do slightly less shows now, okay? Because I've got a new karaoke. It's nothing to do with getting bored. Don't worry, dear. How could I ever get bored speaking to you, my darlings? Huh? It wouldn't happen. How could I ever get bored? Oh, I wanted to look what I've got here. I've got here an apple from my apple tree. I have an apple tree in the garden. Oh, yes. Yes, I've got it all here. It's like an orchard, massive orchard through the garden I've got. And I have on my apple tree this year 9 whole apples. It's not bad, is it? 9 whole apples. The trouble is with this tree, it's very nice, but it was sold to me as, I think, a mini tree, which means it doesn't get too big. I mean, that's why it's called a mini tree, right? But I've never got more than an handful of apples off it. I think you're supposed to trim it a little bit as it grows, and indeed I do sort of prune, but I'm not very good at pruning roses or apple trees or anything like that. I'm never quite sure what I'm doing. Are you any good at pruning? People say, oh, it's easy, you just need to do that. But I'm not very good at shapes. It's like my hedge. I've got a hedge all around the garden, big spiky bushes, so that people can't get in and try and rob me. Although what they find here is beyond my dread. I could be stolen. I could be stolen while I'm sitting in the studio, couldn't I? I could be sitting here chatting away to you, and suddenly I vanish in a puff of smoke. I could be stolen. So that's why the hedge is around. But I'm not very good at straight lines and artistic tree. Is that the word? Artistic tree? Drawing pictures, anything like that. Seeing how different things match, you know, different colours go together, going out, and I don't know, wearing green and blue like I've got. I've got blue jeans and a green shirt on today. Does that match? Probably not. Not very good at that. With the eye, I'm not very good at seeing things like that. I'm better off with the chat. We like to have a chat, don't we? So that's the reason for that. So we're now slightly different format to the show. As from today, it's half an hour show, 3 times a week, all right? I'm sure that will be more restful on your ears. And once again, thank you to all the people on Facebook, on my Facebook, Chris Reardon UK, for joining in and giving me your suggestions. I've just got a few of my... I didn't print them all off because there were quite a few of them. Here we go. First of all, George in London. I like the half hour option. I don't have the patience to listen to you for an hour. Well, I'm not surprised, George. How can you listen to the rubbish that comes out of my mouth for an hour? Eh? Thank you, George. Keith, also in London, says, I want half an hour 3 times a week. Thank you, Keith. Takatsuga in Japan, saying, either option, I like your show. Thank you, sir. One from Japan there. Voodoo Mick. Now, Voodoo Mick, do you remember Voodoo Mick? He came on the show a few months ago and did tarot cards. Do you remember that? He's actually doing quite well. He has now started singing and being paid for it acoustically, like with a guitar, because he plays the guitar very well. So he's doing very well. And he says, great to see you have lots of work coming in. I'd say the second option, half hour 3 times a week. Louise. Hello, Louise. Oh, we don't hear much from you anymore, dear. Is everything going on all right, dear? You can always come to me with little bits of personal advice about your life. Privately, of course. And Louise says, I'd like to say the last choice, really. Half hour 3 times a week. Good luck with the new job. Yes, it starts tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Terry, up north. Terry in Leeds, where they all speak funny, home of Yorkshire television, says, I prefer an hour show. I don't think 30 minutes is long enough for your style. Oh, Terry, you're in the minority. We're going to have to ignore your ideas. I'm sorry, lovey. This has got to be a majority decision. Eh? Terry also says, you drift off the subject too much for a 30-minute show. What do you mean, dear? Drift off the subject? Don't know what you mean by that, love. Doug in Akeley, USA, says, half hour 3 times a week seems to work for you the best. But I'm going to miss 3 hours a week. Should make a more lively show with just 30 minutes. Lively? Lively? I don't know about lively, dear. I'm not going to start jumping around naked in here or anything like that, I'm afraid. Ian. Hello, Ian. Ian Duff says, I'd prefer 3 shows a week with a shorter duration. Love the humour. What humour? I don't have any humour. I just tell it as it is, dear. There is no humorousness here. Matkins. Oh, Matkins. I never hear from you anymore, Matkins. Matkins works for the railways in Oxford. Cute little thing he is. Perfect. He'd be a perfect partner for someone. Even I have asked to marry him a few times, and he says he doesn't answer. I don't think he's actually said no. Do you think that's a bit of a come on? Huh? If they don't answer you directly, I think there might be an opportunity there. I mean, fantastic. I'll get free rail travel, couldn't I, Matty? He says, 3 times 30-minute show, Greers, gives you a more stable time to update us with things. Yes, I think you're right as well. The shows will continue to be on Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Everything is the same, except that it's now half an hour, OK? Joe Peacock. Hello, Joe. One of our youngest listeners, he's 14. He says, 1 one-hour show on a Monday. Oh, he wants less. Can you not put up with me any longer then, Joe? And Carmel, she says 2 shows a week, 1 hour each, please. Sorry, Carmel, darling, you're outnumbered. And that's it, all right? There we are, a few of the Facebook messages. I thought I'd type those out as you took the kind time to bother writing in there, all right? Now, the email address of the show, if you want to join in at any point, is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Now, I can hear regular listeners and viewers to the show what you want to know about more than anything else today, and that is Gwen. Gwen, we've spoken to quite a number of times on the telephone. She's not very well at the moment. She's been diagnosed with cancer, and it's a lady's cancer, not the breast, something else inside. I can't remember what it was now. Perhaps she doesn't want me to tell you that. No, but she's happy with you to know the big C, okay? So she's been diagnosed with cancer. she was supposed to go into the hospital this week for some more bits and pieces to be tested, I think, and to see what can be done. However, yesterday morning she got a phone call and said while they were doing the scans, they've been looking over the scans, and now they found something else, and that is blood clots, some blood clots in the lungs. I think these might be called embolisms. I'm not quite sure if I've got that right or not. And she was asked, or told, perhaps, should I say, to come straight to the hospital and book her in and start treatment immediately on trying to get rid of those. Now, I'm not a medical person, and I don't know if these blood clots are related to the cancer that she has. So I don't know anything about that. However, she is now in hospital. She rang me yesterday to tell me, and let's say some prayers for Gwen, all right? So that's all I know there at the moment. I'll keep you fully updated there. Because of the way the show is created, I record usually a week ahead. So any emails or anything else that you might have sent in yet, I won't have got, because you see, for me, the last show was 2 days ago. For you, the last show was a week ago, if you see what I mean. So if you're sending in anything for Gwen, please feel free to do so, and I shall pass it all on to her. Okay? You might actually want to send in... Oh, this could be a time where the postal address to the show comes in very useful. You might want to send a get well card or a get well email or anything like that. If you've become a fan of Gwen... she's been following me around, coming along to my karaoke nights for 4 or 5 years now. And let me tell you, she is the most wonderful woman. 72 years old, and she travels on public transport very late at night just to go to the karaoke. Not just my karaoke, but two of my friends, DJ Demon, or Adam, who we've spoken about a few times, and another friend of mine, Ben, and she goes to all these karaokes. It's not just mine, but I think mine was the first one of all of us that she used to come to. And she's telling me, you know, she's never been really unwell. All these years, 72 years old, and she's never really been ill. And then suddenly this. And we knew there was something wrong because around about 8 weeks' time, 8 weeks ago, she suddenly stopped coming out and said, oh, I don't feel well. And we thought it was a swine flu. You know, that's what everyone was getting at the time, or it seemed to be. We thought it was flu of some sort. But it went on, and eventually she went to the doctors and got the bad news. So if you do want to send anything in, you can do it by email. The email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, or the postal address if you want to put pen to paper and perhaps send in a get well card. Don't feel you have to do this, you know. If you've got some time on your hands and you feel like you want to do that, then feel free to do so. It's chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk, and the postal address is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Once again, it's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED. And I shall make sure that any cards, any letters, anything like that, do get straight to Gwen, and of course I'll keep you fully informed, all right? Someone else, of course, who hasn't been well recently, you might have been following the story of Jason with his recent hip replacement operation. That went very well. He's not doing too bad. He has now been out of the house, okay? So let me think, when did he have the operation? 2 weeks ago now. My God, the time flies, doesn't it? Yep, he was in the hospital. If you've been following the story there, he went into the hospital on a Monday morning, 7:30. At 10 o'clock, they took him down. At midday, he was back in the hospital bed, sitting up on the phone to me. Unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. Well, 4 days later, he left the hospital. That was, I think, on the Friday. He spent about a week and a few days at home. And then a couple of days ago, he went out now, why did he go out? I think he went out to the doctors or something like that. But when he came back, he noticed his leg had blown right up. So he's doing quite well. He is moving around the house, and slowly but surely, and it is a slow recovery, because that is a major operation, isn't it? He's coming along okay, going down to see him tomorrow. I am hoping at some point to take the microphone and, for those of you that watch the show, the camera down to Jason's place in Brighton, and we could have a bit of a chat with him about how he felt about the operation, you know, whether anything it sort of, you know, hurts or anything like that. And I think that would be of great interest, all right? So Jason, hopefully on the show at some point. I keep speaking to my mate Ron about doing a show. He's got, I don't know what's wrong with him, honestly. He just lives his time. He's just stressed. Stress all the time. He takes an awful lot on. So I don't know if we're ever going to get him to come down here to the studio, or me go to his house and do a little bit of filming and that. Now, tonight, I'm very excited tonight because Millie is still here in the UK. And tonight I'm taking the microphone and the camera down to her hotel. And she's staying in Holborn in London. I'm going to take a camera down to the hotel, and we're going to do a half-hour show with myself and Millie. So very, very much looking forward to that. She'll be able to tell you about all the things she's doing, she has been doing in London. Not only that, but telling you, of course, this from a person who's in a wheelchair, a completely different point of view, of course, to someone perhaps like me who can walk around no problem. I mean, it must be very different seeing the sights of London living in a wheelchair, as Millie has always done from when she was born. Well, obviously, you know, she wasn't a baby in a wheelchair, but you know, you understand what I mean. She's always been in a wheelchair. And for her to see London, and perhaps for someone totally mobile with full use of their legs to see London, must be a completely different thing. I should imagine it's full of little things, little problems that crop up and that you have to deal with, that someone like myself wouldn't have to deal with. So that'd be very interesting tonight, and that should be on the next show. Okay, my darlings? Talking about poor Gwen with her cancer at the moment, I did notice a couple of interesting cancer stories in the newspapers this week. One was something like 2 pills a day. that they found that they've created 2 tablets excuse me, that I think they're testing on people at the moment, and they reckon it can stop all sorts of tumours in their tracks. One of them was prostate cancer, which is a bit of a problem among men at the moment. I don't understand why all these cancers are getting more and more. Don't you think? I'm sure if you speak to elderly people, sort of over, I don't know, over 80 years old, how much cancer was around when they were children, I'm sure they would tell you, well, you never used to hear about it. Where does it all come from? Is it in the air? Is it the chemicals in the food? No one seems to be quite sure. Or do they know? I mean, you often get these people talking about conspiracies and that sort of thing, don't you? Is it something that's invented to keep the population down? And it's a dreadful thing to think, but is it? And you often wonder where it's all come. So that's the 2 tablet story I saw in the paper. I don't really know much more about it. And they've also got now a 5-minute blood test, which can detect stomach and bowel cancer. And both of these cancers, if caught very early, are fully treatable. You have an extremely good chance of survival. But that is like a lot of cancers, isn't it? If you get it early enough, you have a very, very good chance of recovery. That's with most cancers, I would say now. The trouble is catching it. You know, you just don't know. A lot of people are extremely lucky where they've gone into hospital to have something done, and then while they're on the operating table, the surgeon has noticed, hello, what's that in there? And it's been found like that, and then fortunately treated. Other people, not so lucky, as I'm sure many of you know. I remember being at school and being told that in 30 years' time, which is where we are now, of course, in 30 years' time, 1 in 3 people will be affected some way by cancer. And I think we're there, aren't we? It's an awful thing. You know, and I actually do give only a small amount, a very small amount, to a cancer charity each month. And I think it's one of the things. If you know, I say it's a small amount, you know, if a lot of people were given a very small amount, they'd have a lot of money. So there's perhaps something for you to think about. If you've got a bit of spare cash, you could sign up to one of these cancer charities. Just give them a small amount each week. You probably wouldn't even notice it. Just a suggestion there. Okay, so that's that. All right, let's do some emails today. First of all, another one here from Doug. Now, I was talking about Yannick and his email the other week. The outrageous email suggesting that I was looking, and I quote, chubby. I'll repeat that. Chubby. Isn't he vile? Isn't he vile and disgusting? Yannick says, I'm looking chubby. Well, I have to say to you, Yannick, yes, I don't know what's going on, but the weight does appear to continue increasing. However, I'm not convinced it's all fat because, and here's one up for you, mate. This week, 2 people have said, are you working out, Chris? Oh, yes, don't you love it? Clearly, my chest is once again becoming defined and I shall be as gorgeous as I was when I was 30 years old. Is that possible again? I don't know. So shut up, Yannick. And Doug writes, in defence of your fatness, I think, and I totally agree with this, Doug, I think Yannick has been hanging out with Ross Patton's out too much, and I don't think you're fat. Thank you, Doug. We are friends for life, my friend. Oh, I'm even going to kiss this email. I'm going to put my tongue on this email. Thank you, Dougie. Me love you long time. Me love you long time. You want to buy DVD? 2 for £5. Tar, Doug. Ken. Hello, Ken. Relatively newcomer to the show. I think Ken's in London. Who says, I'm really excited. I'm going to India in a few weeks. Oh, you'll have to drop off at some of the call centres there. Hello, Mr. Reardon. Orange, can I help you? There's a country I'd like to visit, India. I really would. I couldn't eat. Oh, no, dear. I wouldn't be able to eat. Oh, mind you, perhaps now is a good time. Perhaps now would be a good time for me to go to India. I need to cut down on the food a bit, don't I? So what's causing the fatness? Well, do you know, I've started eating bread again. Not bread as such, bagels. Now, I have to call them bagels. Ronnie, my best friend Ronnie, my ex and best friend Ronnie, calls them bagels. He says apparently that's the Jewish name because Ronnie is a Jewish person. He is a Jew. And I'm not allowed to call them bagels. They're bagels. If I say, oh, I've just had a bagel, he goes, bagel, like that. Is that right? Do we have any Jewish people listening? Is that correct? Bagel? Huh? Let us know. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. So I've started eating those, and they are delicious. I thought they were less fattening than bread. Does anyone know the answer to that? Let me know. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Please help me to lose a bit of weight. 6 pounds. All right, I'm 13 stone 7. All right, you happy now? I could hear you screaming at me then. How much do you weigh? 13 stone 7. The Americans won't understand stone. I know that. You'll have to convert it. 14 pounds in a stone. So it's 13 times 7 plus 7. Oh, no. So it's 13 times 14 plus 7. That's what I am. 13 times 14 plus 7 gives you my pounds. 13 stone 7 at the moment, and it's just been continuing to gradually ease up. Could it be the Bagels, or could it be something I've been very naughty recently? I've been having waffles with maple syrup as well as one of my meals. Oh, they are delicious. Absolutely delicious. Do you like them? Waffles with maple syrup? And why is maple syrup so expensive? I said that on the last show, didn't I? It's nearly £4, dear, a bottle. £4. God's sake. Anyway, Ken, once again, I'm going to India in a few weeks with a stop at London. Oh no, Ken, where are you? I don't think you are in London. It says with a stop at London for a few days. Sorry, Ken, I can't remember where you are now. Hope to see some friends and catch a Broadway show there. Hope to chat with you sometime, from Ken. So thanks for that, Ken. Oh yes, you'll see. There's lots and lots of shows in London to see. I've only seen 2, so I can only recommend 2. The Lion King, loved it. Whoa! I love the beginning of it. Whoa! Boom, 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 whoa! Whoa! And stuff like that. Okay? And the other one I've seen recently is Priscilla, Queen of the Deserts. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, and all that business. Fantastically campish show you have ever seen in your entire life. It's done really well. Jason Donovan's playing that, okay? He's a nice boy. I met him once. He's a nice chap. Thank you, Doug. Ken, sorry. Damien. Hello, Damien. I've not heard from Damien before, so welcome to the show, Damien. Chris, he says, you were talking in your show in August about a Polonez car. Yes, one of the cars I had years ago was an FSO Polonez, right? And I mentioned to you that it was the worst car I ever had. Worst car. He says, Chris, I have and drive, my car is a Polonez FSO. He says, I'm not quite sure if you know, but this kind of car is Polish. Yes, I do know that. He said, you said it was the worst kind of car you have ever had in your life. Is that really true? Please tell me sincerely. Yes, it is true. It was the worst car I ever had. What would happen is that if I got stuck in traffic, right, you know, so you're stationary and sort of edging along, it would start coughing and spluttering and cutting out. And it went back to the garage time and time again, and they were never able to sort out the problem. It went actually to 2 garages. One was in Greenford, and one was in Hawley, in Surrey. 2 garages, and neither of them were able to sort out the problem. And I actually sold the car before I finished paying for it. It just was totally unreliable. He says, imagine that this sort of car I drive every day to work, and I love it. It's pretty cool. Cheers, Damien. What do you think? Well, I'm sorry, Damien. Yeah, I have to tell you, I wasn't lying. It was the worst car I ever had. Very, very bad experiences with that car indeed. All right, but thanks for liking it, writing in, and welcome to the show. Finally today, a quick one here from Niall in Switzerland. Hi, Chris. I'm slightly concerned by Maureen's recent email. Have you ever heard of the Gnomes of Zurich? They are renowned for being in charge of the world's banks and are to be revered. I hate to think that what this will mean for the world economic balance, as they shall never be crossed. We'll let you know any early warning signs that we get inside Switzerland. Worried and forever hopeful for Maureen's soul, Niall in Switzerland. Thank you very much for that, Niall. Time to go now. Yeah, it's quick, isn't it? Quick half-hour show 3 times a week. I hope you are happy with the new format. I did ask a lot of people, and this seems to be the best round for everyone. Half an hour, 3 times a week. This is United Kingdom Talk. Do join in by email. Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. See you on the next show. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.